What's up, everybody? Welcome to episode 29 of the Overview. I'm ChanManV, and due to some technical difficulties we had earlier on the live broadcast, I've had to edit the video a little bit, so hope you guys understand it. I just wanted to do the intros since you're not going to see them. So it's going to be myself, ChanManV, with my co-host Fishstix, and our two guests, Flame and Zebbosai from Team Misfits. So we're going to be jumping in a few minutes into the broadcast, but you're going to get to see all the good parts. All right, see ya. Okay, so let's see, where were we now? So we were talking about the Korean thing, and Zebbosai, what do you think about, what do you think about having all these different tournaments? Obviously, there's a lot of things and a lot of choices for you guys to go to, but are you under the impression that you just like to see just very centralized tournaments that pretty much show who the best team is at the moment?
I don't know. As a player, I just want as many tournaments as possible, of course.
Cool.
I'm sad we didn't get an invite to this, obviously, but in the meantime, we can play at the DreamHack, we can play at MSI. We have plenty of tournaments as well, so I don't know. I'm just happy that we have a lot of tournaments in general.
Right, yeah. Lots of chances to win more prize, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Okay. Well, the Chinese Open's been, that's kind of where Jason is. You guys were wondering where Jason's been the last week or two. He and Mitchie are over there casting the APAC Premier, which starts this week. And this will be the first tournament where we actually see a combination of Asian teams and some of the teams over in EU and NA. Because NRG and Rogue are over there. So we'll see how they match up. Rogue, obviously one of the top teams. NRG, kind of up there too. So these will be good measuring sticks to see how the Asian teams match up. But what do you guys think? I mean, have you guys watched any of the Chinese teams or have any idea how the teams are going to be doing?
For me, the interesting storyline, well, there's going to be a couple here, but how are the Chinese and the Korean teams going to stack up against each other? Because I think it's still fair to say that the Western teams have the edge. From everything I've heard so far in scrims and all that, Western teams certainly do continue to have that edge. But who's kind of ahead in Asia? Is it going to be China? Is it going to be Korea? Japan hasn't had great results yet, but there's a couple Japanese teams here, including pretty much the biggest esports team in Japan. So I'm definitely going to be looking to see how the Asian teams shake out against each other. But I think everyone already knows you can't sleep on Korea. So we're going to see them get better and better and better just so fast. But I think at this point, there really hasn't been enough time. Maybe by the time of World Cup, I know it's only a month out from now, but by the time of the World Cup, I'm sure they're going to be practicing to make their countries proud. But this should be a good tell of where Asia in general stacks up against each other.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely. Flame, Zebbosai, you guys follow Chinese Overwatch at all?
No, I haven't really seen any of the games, but I heard from Rogue that they're beating them quite easy at the moment. But a big advantage they get now, they get to practice with MV, Rogue, United.
Yeah, absolutely.
Us in Europe, we don't have that much to practice against now. We only really have NiP, Dignitas, Luminosity, and I don't know. It's really bad for us here, actually. Same in NA, they lose a lot of practice time or good practice partners.
At the same time, I think it'll even itself out, right? If you assume, this is an assumption, but let's say, for instance, maybe all of the Eastern scene is just worse than the Western scene, in some form. Maybe their practice gets lower while NA catches up to the other two, because you could argue, not NRG so much, but for Rogue and all the teams in Korea that are going over to Asia anyway to play, it might wind up in a weird situation where they get worse, or their gameplay changes so much while the West adapts. They're going to become Eastern teams for 3 months. So there's a lot of, it's there's a lot of different metas that are going to have to clash eventually. And I'm kind of sad that there's not a bigger tournament yet with maybe top 4 teams from each region. That'd be cool. But as far as this tournament goes, I think, I agree with Ben. I'm more interested to see which region does better amongst themselves. And you go in there with Rogue as a top, maybe top 4 team in the world right now. If you don't know anything about the Eastern scene, and then NRG is probably top 16. So it'll give, if they place in between each other, it'll give a decent understanding of where the East is right now. Maybe they stomp NRG but don't beat Rogue. Maybe they stomp Rogue and you're oh my god. There's a lot of different ways that this could go.
It's pretty clear.
Yeah, that's what I mean.
What happens?
It'll give a good the fact that it's two teams with different skill levels, I would say, between Rogue and NRG gives it a decent way to gauge at the end of the day, which I think is nice.
Yeah. It would have been great to see a completely different meta over there, you know, and just having it clash with the Western meta over here, but it doesn't sound like that's doesn't sound like that's the what's going on. And plus they get to watch a lot of VODs of you guys, where it's like I don't think that's happening vice versa right now. So if anything, you think they would have been prepared for what's happening with, you know, Rogue, or with Rogue's strats and Energy strats going over there. But it doesn't sound like it.
Yeah, well, I mean, I think that they watched Misfits like massively destroy mostly. Like Misfits went on a crazy run during this E-League tournament. Like they beat Rogue, they beat Nip, and then they beat Envy. Like that's a sick run. So I think that you're going to start seeing the Asian scene start running the Misfits comp for at least this tournament, just as like, oh wow, this comp, like this is strong. But yeah, I would say that the meta definitely has room to shift. Like you saw even during E-League, the meta shifted. It went from like nano boosting Reinhardts to nano boosting Reapers. So maybe the Koreans will like ignore Ana altogether because both of them will be running it. I don't know. There's like some weird things that could happen in terms of that, but I think that the meta will definitely not be stale throughout this tournament at least. There's so much time too, like not for just this APAC tournament, but for OGN too. Like just there's so much time for patches, I guess is what I'm trying to say.
Actually, I just realized it's Tuesday. Are we gonna see that Ana nerf?
Hopefully. The buff, you mean? The buff?
The buff. Yeah, the buff. Exactly.
The buff disguised as a potential nerf.
Oh.
Yeah.
I really don't think the change to Ana will affect anything.
Yeah.
Like we will see
It's
the
a
same
buff.
meta.
It's just a buff. It didn't change the match. It's a buff.
Like, so strong now, it's crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's true. It is Tuesday. I didn't see an update though. I was on the client like a little bit earlier, but didn't see anything. But yeah, that'd be pretty interesting to see what happens there too. With them playing in the APAC Premier League, they can still play other tournaments, right? Like as long as they're online, right? I forget if OGN is exclusive like that, where they literally can't do anything while they're doing.
I don't think they're gonna bother anyway. Like I'm pretty sure OGN is so intense in terms of its timing that like there's no way that they're gonna even think about traveling.
That's a good point.
And like so it's I don't know. Like even for them to come back from BlizzCon, like you have to fly to Korea, or you fly to China, then you have to fly to Korea, then you have to fly back to Cali for BlizzCon, and then you have to fly back to Korea. And some of these teams have players that aren't even in BlizzCon. So like think about that. You're flying back and forth, and then half your team is playing, half your team isn't. Like what? Like that sounds like such a. It's going to be such a long 3 months for some of these players.
Yeah, 3 months too. There's no visa issues for 3 months, I guess, in Korea. I guess not. Wow.
I mean, Korea represents, or Korea has a better understanding of esports, I would say, than most countries, right?
That's probably true. Their policy is probably a lot less strict than here. All right. Well, definitely excited to see it. I can't wait to see Doa and Monty cast it too. It's going to be great to see those guys obviously casting Overwatch for the first time. Even more casters on the scene than we've seen already.
Every community, like which community
I know. It's like
casters haven't switched to Overwatch at this point.
It's going to be like the all-star of the all-stars.
Every shooter, and now League.
Yeah. Okay, well, why don't we jump into Overwatch Open? That was pretty much what most of this episode was going to be about. And the Overwatch Open obviously concluded on Friday on TV, which was like super exciting. But the players were at the studio all week long, so it wasn't just they just showed up for that one game. They were pretty much there the entire time, and kind of want to get a sense of just how that was for you, Zebbosai. Just the whole experience of hanging out, I guess, in Atlanta at the studios. Obviously, didn't play every day, but you were there at least. What was that like?
We pretty much ended up playing every day because we arrived as the NA section was done. They were traveling back.
Oh, that's right. You did, guys.
When we arrived.
Right.
Yeah. I don't know, like it was a great tournament. The E-League took super well care of us. Like Gamescom was also great. They took care of us very good, but E-League was just another level. It was crazy. Like we only really had to focus on playing. It's just a great tournament overall.
Players only focusing on playing? Wow, that's like a novel concept.
What year is it?
Right. No, the studio looked impressive, at least from TV and from the stream. So was it that impressive live? I bet you it was. I mean, the computers and everything. I mean, was just everything amazing? Because obviously from the production standpoint, I feel like they can show a lot of stuff sometimes that you guys don't actually get to see because you're actually live and maybe just getting at least your perspective of things is nothing like ours. So how did it feel being in that studio?
Oh no, the studio was great. Like we had a bit of a tour around the area, like the NBA studio, and
Yeah.
like the E-League one was twice as big as anything else. Like it was really, really big. And
I
great
can imagine
studio.
the control room. The control room must have been awesome to see with all the obs and all the screens and everything, right?
I never got to see that.
Oh,
so
you
I
didn't.
don't know.
Okay.
Hidden
Okay.
tech.
You didn't tech. Yeah. Cool. Yeah, what do you guys think, at least from the standpoint of being at home and just watching it online and on TV?
Dude, I mean, these guys are true professionals. Everyone who's worked with E-League has had nothing but the most positive, glowing reviews for the staff, for the environment, the production value, absolutely everything. The set looks amazing. And it goes so much even further beyond all of those things. It's the sponsors that are tied into it. They have really great custom commercials that they play during the ad breaks. It just shows you, on one hand, I'll myself along with a lot of other people just say we don't need TV, we're esports, we have we have online, this is the future, we know what we're doing, we control our destiny, all this is great and true to an extent, but we still don't have the experience that Turner does. Like,
Yep.
TBS knows how to put on an incredible broadcast. They know how to integrate the sponsors, the just everything A to Z. They have it better than we do. So we got a ways to go still.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I guess back to what Skipjack, or not Skipjack, what Zebbo was saying is that I had Skipjack on my mind because I'm reading the thing. For back to what Zebbo was saying, like it was nice, especially for the players, to go in with having had, like with E-League having had so much experience with CS:GO already, like any kinks that would have been in a tournament, CS:GO's probably already ran into. So like they know how to get the players treated, like what the players need, how the computer should be set up, like all of that. And like I think that experience really shown through. Like they did a really good job, and like just from a production standpoint, I was really impressed. Like the entire tournament was ran pretty well. All of the commercials, all of the videos that they showed, all of the everything just flowed. And I've never watched a tournament, like I can't remember a tournament that I've ever watched in any game where all I had to wait was like 5 or 6 minutes between matches, even when they were swapping teams out. Like that was impressive as anything to me, was just the fact that I didn't have to sit around waiting. Like sometimes you'll watch Dota or CS and be like, all right guys, 30-minute cooldown for the next team. Like no, this was like bang 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 bang, like just constantly playing. And like that was what I think made this entire production so impressive.
I think like apart from the like first day for the NA teams, like the pieces were apparently bad on the stage. Like they had really bad FPS. Apart from that, I don't think there was anything, because they swapped those out like as soon as they heard about it. So.
Yeah.
I didn't hear about that. That's too bad.
Yeah, I think we talked about last episode, but yeah, but when we were talking about that came up too. They just swapped them out instantly, and then it wasn't an issue after that. But yeah, I think that the downtime, especially on the last day, was just like super fast. Like even the analysts didn't get a chance to analyze some of the games because it was so quick. But yeah, overall, I think it was definitely the best that we've seen by a long shot. It's not even, I don't think anything is close, just because they have that awesome studio and everything, just all those resources dedicated to it. But let's talk about the games. So we talked about NA just the last episode, and we were kind of previewing EU. So let's talk about the EU bracket as well as just the finals. And for me, I thought the series of the tournament was actually in the EU finals between you guys and Rogue. I thought it was better than the finals, the grand finals themselves. And so I just want to see what everybody's, what everybody thought about the EU group results first. Flame, what'd you think?
I mean, so like last week you asked me for Preds, and I had Misfits, I guess, out because I was like, oh, they're running with a sub and Rib, and Hidan's new, so like, how are they actually gonna perform? But what was nice to see was that Misfits, I mean, Zeb was obviously here, but they just took the game and did whatever they wanted. Like they had a plan and they stuck to it, and it just shone through. Like everything that they did it just looks so calculated, and that was really nice to see. I wonder actually how much of an advantage they had just because of how good Europe looks right now over Envy. Just like if Envy had gotten to play in that Euro side of the bracket, like what would the outcome have been is something that I would have wanted to watch, because I felt like, and I don't know how Envy was for that entire week, but Envy was sitting around for a week before the finals.
It wasn't a week,
but yeah,
it was like
it was
2 or 3 days
close,
or something like that, right?
It was like 4 days, I think. But either way, I guess my point being, like, Misfits came in and like they had a plan and they stuck to it and it worked. And I thought that was the coolest part of the tournament, because everyone came in thinking Nip and Rogue were going to be favorites. Mm-hmm. And even I thought Nip were going to be favorites. But Misfits just came in and beat both of them like back to back. Like that was incredible, I think.
Yeah, that the EU finals was incredible to watch. I was losing my mind watching that. It was such a close, nail-biting game. Really, really, really fun. But yeah, I if you watched any of OW Open, it almost seems redundant to even bring it up because you already know. But holy crap, Ana and Reaper just was the entire story of like the meta this tournament. And I mean, I'd turn it to Zebbosai, obviously, to get your feedback on like why you think that maybe was. How did that strategy really come into play? Like, who started doing it first? And it seems like you guys had it really perfected. Constantly on a boosting, Reapers coming from flanks, wiping entire teams like several times per map. It's almost I almost feel like we've never seen a strategy dominate like we saw the Reaper dominate in this OW Opens. So Zebbosai, I mean, I would just ask you, I mean, why do you think the strategy is so strong and dominated the whole tournament?
The key thing for us, I think, was we lost to NIP in like an online cup, like a week prior to the event. So then we swapped our comp totally, and we went with this Reaper May thing. And like I don't know, we haven't seen any other teams do it, but like plenty of them did it at the event. Like I know Rogue had practiced prior to that too. So I don't know, like it just the Reaper is so powerful. Like you shield him, you speed boost him, you get the Ana boost. He doesn't die; he just rips through targets. And with like a May wall, you can isolate certain targets too. So, I don't know. It's just crazy, but it's kind of stupid too, in my opinion.
I mean, to go off that too, when you consider the damage reduction from the nano boost, and then you add the fact that Reaper heals are like 50 HP every time he gets a kill, it's like like every time he gets a kill, he gets an extra 50 HP that now has 50% damage reduction, it's extra 75 health essentially for each soul that he picks up. And then it's also the ease, right? Like it's an easy combo, right? Like you just said it yourself, you just go in, you nano boost the Reaper, put a bubble on him, and then pray. Like, and you don't even have to pray. It's like you roll a dice that you know is weighted.
I shotgun for the team, like, and when I see we have Ana boost and Reaper, it's like, okay, we won this fight. Let's think about the next one.
Wow.
It's pretty much that way.
Oh
like,
man!
Wow.
But like the only counter is the stun and the sleep.
Yeah.
And it's really hard to pull off. Like Envy did a great job with that, but apart from that game, like it's really hard to hit that.
Yeah. Well, I think people are going to start focusing on that too. I mean, I think you're going to start seeing some counters to it with like those two.
The thing is though, like we started versus Rogue, we went into it like saying, okay, let's save stun for the nano boosted Reaper here. But then like if you don't hit it, you kind of just wasted his ult that has such a big impact. So we just started like just stun whenever and get other kills while he like gets 3-4 kills with his Reaper, because we can't really stop it. Like just ignore that, fight the others. That's kind of the mentality we had towards them.
Well, the damage output in such a short period of time is insane with Reaper in that ultimate. And then he's mobile too, which is crazy. Yeah, definitely crazy.
There was a fight in the grand finals on Kings Row, and like I'm not gonna forget it because it was so ridiculous. I think they nano boosted Soon, and Soon got slept, like nuked by the Ana, and then wound up like getting up with 40 HP and hits his Death Blossom like in like literally 4 or 5 frames. He gets a triple kill as he dies. It wasn't even long enough for anyone to think about the fact that he had Death Blossom. Like I don't even think he got a full spin off on his hero. Like that's how fast he got a triple kill. And I was thinking to myself like, wow. There was even a fight too, I think, like between I think it was FaZe and Rogue on like Gibraltar, where FaZe like completely destroyed them in a team fight, but then it didn't matter. Like they had 4 ults, I think FaZe had 4 ults, but they nano boosted a Reaper on top of them and just wiped them instantly. And you're just thinking to yourself, like, man, I would feel so bad if I was on that team, like just watching this happen to me. It's just it's so bad. Well, it's just unfortunate, I guess.
It's crazy they can still get up and still have the boost, like for a little bit period of time. I saw that even in I think Misfits Rogue. I forgot who it was, but definitely the Reaper got. I think it was Soon that got slept, or was it? One of them, anyways. They got slept and they got up and they still. I don't even think they even blossomed. They still got up and were able to kill like two guys after that, which is like crazy. You know, like that shouldn't last that long.
Like the thing is, you can't even like react with a supportive ult to counter it, because like if he's on you, you'll die before you get it off, especially with Lucio.
Yeah.
Like you gotta see it coming and then like use the ult. It's so fast. It's crazy.
People have I don't know, everyone's talking about like, oh, nerf Ana. I feel like the issue with Ana, like more than anything, is the fact that you can't do anything about the nano boost. Like there's no cast time on it. It's just like, okay, I'm hitting Q and this guy's nano boosted. It's like the same
Yeah.
problem I think people had with Mercy at the beginning. I mean, even now people still have a Mercy where like there's no real way to interrupt the Mercy res. It's just like there's no real way to interrupt the nano boost. It's just like this is happening and you have to deal with it. And it's in that instance, like I don't know what you're supposed to do. Like you could, again, what he said with the Lucio, like if you hear it coming, there's no point in even dropping the beat because you'll lose all the damage on the shields before you even get it off, if you get it off. So
Exactly. No, I think it's worse than the Mercy thing because with the Mercy, it's one of those things where you react to it. You can react to it because it happens
sometimes, yeah.
I mean, with the Ana thing, it's pre-battle. With Mercy, it's either during the battle or near the end of the battle. So killing her is when you're battling, killing her is a high priority in that instance. Whereas with Ana, it's just like high priority, I guess, is killing her before the others get ultimate, and that's definitely a lot harder to do because sometimes you can't even find.
But she's a sniper, and she can
Exactly.
stay so far away,
Exactly.
and just
So-
like
And if you get close to her, she might sleep you, and then you're dead. Like,
Right.
there's so many problems, I think, and just in the survivability of that hero too. Like that nuke is so strong. Like someone gets close to you, throw it at the ground, suddenly you're full health, and they can't heal at all.
Yeah.
There's a lot of things.
And I think we saw
that hero
some.
is too strong.
I think we saw some plays that were probably seemed a little out of sync or whatnot, where people were trying to dive at Anas early. Like especially in the finals. We were seeing a lot of Winston's diving at Anas early. So
Winston, the easiest target to sleep ever.
I know, right? Oh my gosh, that's definitely crazy.
Well, I do want to talk a little bit more about just the tournament results in general and some of the other things. But I also want to just throw this out since we are delving into the meta. I had this idea for Ana boost. What if it gave like even more survivability, but like no damage buff at all?
That's kind of what I wanted, to be honest with you. Like,
Yeah.
I like the idea of the damage reduction. Like, I like the idea of making one hero super tanky. I don't like the idea of the
Yeah.
damage.
But the thing is, why would you ever use it then? Like, if you can you make your lineup more tanky, why not just go with a Zenyatta to heal the whole team with your...
Well, there's definitely heroes that benefit from bonus HP, right? Like, imagine nano boosting a Tracer, and she just suddenly has, like, 250 effective HP or something. Like,
Yeah,
if it would made it more tanky... I mean, I'm not saying it would be great, but even if, like, I would think of it more in, like, terms of if it was, like, Shallow Grave, I think that would be awesome. I don't like the idea of adding more damage to this game. I think that there's already too much damage in this game, to be honest with you.
Well, I think they originally balanced the characters based on, a set number of damage coming out from ultimates or whatnot. So when you add a booster to it, I think it does potentially throw off a lot of balance, and I think that's what we're seeing, right? If they for some reason miss it,
Think about a character like Reaper. Up close and personal, Reaper does an insane amount of damage without any boost whatsoever. So I actually feel like this could make the Ana boost a more interesting strategic move rather than just like I'm going to wipe the entire team. I'm going to make this Reaper have a crap ton more HP, maybe even more than he gets currently with the. Would
he still have the speed boost?
But yeah, I mean,
yeah,
he's
he
still
could have
going
a
to do
speed
damage.
boost. I think the speed boost would still be fine. Have the boost and the damage reduction.
I don't know. That's just my idea. I wanted to throw it out there.
I don't know. I just feel like it just end up like, say you nano boosted Reaper, you just ignore that guy. Like you push him away a bit and then just go for the others. Because there's no point to focus him, and he can kill 1-2 maybe, but you can trade those kills in the meantime. But with the speed boost, he obviously can get up close, and then it's a lot rougher to deal with. But
I mean, right? You're playing like Lucio, and then suddenly a nano booster Reinhardt comes at you, and you can't even speed boost away. Like that's the most frustrating thing, I think.
But I only think the Ana ulti is like broken with the Reaper, because like when it's a Reinhardt, it's a big target. You can boop him around corners, and he has to melee range. You have the sleep; it's easy to hit on him. The pin is easy to hit on him.
Yeah.
And we can even like freeze him quite easy with the melee because he has to melee. So it's just with the Reaper, it's totally broken because you can't touch him. Like he's so fast. There's no way.
Got it.
Yeah.
All right. Well, I think it's maybe time to segue a little bit and just talk about your run through the tournament. And particularly, there's a huge elephant in the room that I want to put you on the spot, man, and I apologize for doing it. But you're playing with two stand-ins. Basically, Hidon's trialing right now for the team. But you had Ribbon for Skipjack. And obviously, you guys win with two stand-ins, or I guess Hidon's not stand-in anymore. But just putting you on the spot, is Rib on the team? Are you going to skip Jack back as soon as he's available? Like, what's the deal?
No, Rib is not in. Skip is already playing with us. We played like an online cup yesterday, and we're playing with Skip. But like, what happened was Sapri decided to quit, like maybe 2-3 weeks prior to the event. So we started trialing people, and we trialed 2 guys first, but they couldn't get a passport in time because we were flying out for a boot camp. And in France, it takes a long time. But luckily for us, he then could go to Portugal to get his passport in time. So he got it like 1-2 days before we traveled, and then we could go with him. And then like a bit after that, Skip said that he couldn't attend. So like I played a lot with Rib in TF2, and we also played with him in Impulse 11 early in an Overwatch. So I like as soon as Skip said he wasn't available, I just talked to Rib right away. And luckily for us, his team died at the same time, so he could attend.
Yeah, I mean, as a caster, we always were impressed with Skipjack and his Reinhardt play. But all of a sudden, you're playing with Rib as a stand-in, and you take the biggest tournament in Overwatch history. I mean, that's got to feel pretty good for him.
Oh yeah, for sure. I know he's getting a lot of offers, so I'm very happy for him.
Yeah. I'm sure he'll get picked up within 24 hours.
Yes,
probably.
Exactly. I'd be shocked otherwise. He played well too. Definitely making a lot of plays during the game.
Just such a clutch LAN player. Was the same story in TF2. I always took him for LAN events because he's so clutch at events. It's crazy.
Oh, yeah, when people came in, like, they were like, "Oh, who's Rib and who's Zebbosai?" I was like, "Rib is one of the best LAN demo men that like I've ever played TF2. Like, this guy knows his way around the computer. He clutched so hard for you too on like King's Row. Remember, it was like you guys had lost the fight. I think Soon was dead, and he hits like a 3-man Earth Shatter in the middle of 6 people. Like,
I remember that moment.
It was the clutchest thing it was the clutchest thing I've ever seen because you guys might have actually lost if he didn't do it.
Yeah. Like I had beat up, but I was running out, and then Rib just called his stun, so I ran back in fast and beat it. Like it was lost.
It was insane. It was actually insane.
Yeah. But if you look back at the VODs, like every time we won, it's always a Rib, like big stun. Like versus Rogue, he had a big stun. Versus Envy, he killed the Trace towards the end. Nip, he had a big stun towards the end. It was always a Rib towards the winning moment, or like just the end of the game.
Yeah. And then Hidan, like he clutched so hard too. Like everyone, when they needed to play huge, like they did play huge, and I think that was what made your guys' run a lot more impressive than other teams. Like you guys were consistently good, but then when it came down to the wire, you guys always came out on top. Like someone always made a huge play. Like Hidan hit those 2 sleep darts against Rogue on Hollywood, and you're like, oh god, like what did I just see? And then Rib hits that Earth Shatter on King's Row, and you're like, geez, like how do you beat this? Like how do you get more clutch than these players? I think that was the really.
I think our lineup is just very mechanically strong compared to others. Like I think Rogue, you can compare those, or like the players are also very mechanically strong, but apart from that, I think we're ahead of the other teams.
Yeah, that's true.
So, what was your favorite series, Zeb?
I don't know, and I don't know. I keep thinking back to the NRP one because, like, going into it and also playing it, it was so rough because we had played them online and we got pretty much stomped. So we swapped our comps and like we practiced with this for a week, and like those games, like I don't know if you like Gibraltar, we get to the second stage with like 2 seconds remaining and cap it in overtime, and then we managed to cap it out. Like, and obviously Rogue was also insane, but versus Rogue, it's not that strategical because it's like we both run this Reaper thing.
Yeah.
So we just kind of take fights and we go in, and like whoever hits more shots wins, kind of. But with Nip, it's a lot more strategical. So that's why it stands out in my mind, I think.
Yeah, you guys did a really good job of shutting down Himsy like towards the later in that tournament. In that series, rather, like that whole team. I mean, I don't want to say they revolve around Himsy, but you know what Himsy's going to run, right? Like you know he's going to be the Roadhog every single time you play them. And I think you guys like were the first team to just remove him from the game because your comp was so good at it. Like May Reaper Zarya can just remove a Roadhog. Like it's not that difficult. And you guys have like the best. I would say Nevix played like the best May in the tournament. Soon probably had like some of the best hit scan in the tournament, and then Crew is like arguably one of the best Zaryas in the world. So like everyone I think it was like a perfect storm, especially against Nip. Like that comp worked so well, and then you were like, okay, this comp's working. Let's just keep running it. And
like the thing is, when we play them online, we try to like you can deal with it 2 ways, I guess. Either like you dive the Ana and kill her fast, and then kill the tank slowly because they don't really have DPS. Like you can't really die to the tanks; they don't have enough DPS without the nano boost. But like it's so rough because Nip plays such a good team game, so they all play together. So he just throws the bomb on top of everyone, and we can't really kill Ana in time. So we just ended up like soon when Tracer just basically distract the Ana while we have like a Reaper Zarya May or something, just killing the Roadhog real fast. It was always to focus on the Roadhog because Himsy is so good with that hero.
Yeah, there was so much talk about just the NIP, the 3-3 and the 4-2 coming into the tournament, and then in the end, I mean, we didn't see any of it, which was just kind of interesting, just seeing the meta change there. And it sounded like
well, the teams.
Oh, go ahead.
No, I was gonna say, like, the teams that ran it got dealt with early, right? Like, what happened to Reunited in that tournament? Like, they didn't perform. Like, I mean, they lost a close game to FaZe, but no one really expected that, I think. And I felt like you guys taking NIP out, like, when you did, was another just wake up call to the scene. Like, okay, NIP's comp is not unbeatable. Like, this team just handled them. And then, as you guys saw, like, the Nano Booster Reaper, once you guys did it a few times, everyone was doing it. It's like, okay, let's do it.
Yeah.
The thing is, like, if you play the 3-3 when you have the Zenyatta in it too, like, then you can play like more divey comps because they have a lot of squished targets. But when you play the 4-2 that NIP started doing towards the end, you can't really dive the support. You don't kill them fast enough, and the monkey just kills your Genji because you have to have a Genji to dive them. So then, like, we just went with this May Reaper thing instead, because then you can kind of isolate. Even like a monkey is great because monkey can just bubble like their enemy Roadhog, and then Ana can't heal him. Right. Like, you can just block his vision with walls and Rhino shields, monkey bubbles, stuff like that. So.
Yeah, people didn't talk enough about the Mei, I think, about like just how good it is against Ana in general, because if you put the wall up, you can just stop heals on whatever that front target is that you get walled off, and like it's actually really strong.
All right, and I guess in the end, like, how the finals, like, what were your thoughts on the finals? I mean, I just felt like you guys were playing pretty much as solid as you were playing the entire series, but I feel like Envy was just a little, just not really themselves. And Flame, I think you were getting at it a little bit, that they had a big break, and it is one thing sometimes when you have, like, you're off like a few days, and then you come in to play like the grand finals, and you're just not in sync. Maybe you need a series before that.
Well, I guess to expand on that, like, from an analysis standpoint, I felt like the teams that played their own game were the ones that won. Like, I mean, NIP and you guys, Misfits, like, you guys played your own strengths against each other, and like you guys came out on top. And I think that was like what set the tone for the rest of the tournament, because like you saw FaZe and Rogue go against each other. I forget who Rogue played the game before that knocked them into lower bracket. Not Rogue, Reunited. Reunited got knocked into lower bracket early.
NIP, I think.
To NIP, and NIP was just playing their game, but then Reunited tried to beat them, like, with their own comp. Like, they tried to do the 4-2 into the 4-2, and like that never works, especially against NIP. Like, NIP knows that comp through and through. And then you saw Rogue and you guys. I felt like Rogue tried to beat you guys again with your own comp, but it was your guys' comp. Like, you guys had established yourselves as like, okay, we're running this May Reaper Zarya, and we are gonna, like, after you had beat NIP, it was like yours, I would say. And then
we did lose to Rogue in the group stage, though. We lost 2-0 there. But we played other comps, like, we experimented.
Yeah, exactly. That's what I mean. And then when you guys came into the finals, I felt like Envy didn't have a plan for you guys. Like, they were like, what is this team doing? Like, they're not running tanks, they're not running McCrees, they're not running tracers. Like, how do I beat this? And I felt like when they came out with the Roadhog, like, that just, like, if I were you guys, I would have felt so confident. Like, you see that, like, he played an incredible Roadhog.
Roadhog, though, dude.
He went nuts, but at the end of the day, unless he's hitting consistently a lot of hooks, like, your guys' comp, I felt like just straight up beat them, I don't know.
Yeah, but the thing is, like, we knew they would try to counter it with, like, Pharah Mercy. So, like, on few moments, like, we didn't even pick the Mei, because we knew they were going to go Pharah. So, like, in King's Row first defense, we just put Nevix on McCree right away. And, like, because the only weakness really is the Pharah. But at the same time, Pharah doesn't deal enough damage fast enough to get kills. So, like, you can even run, like, nothing to counter Pharah. Just kill others fast and win eventually. But it's like, on the King of the Hill, like, we lost the first King of the Hill because, like, before the game I said, okay, so if our, like, cancer comp, as people call it, with, like, Genji Tracer, etc., doesn't work, we'll do the Mei comp. So, like, as we started losing, people just, let's swap. But, like, we just were in between so many comps. But for the second time on King of the Hill, I just said, no, we're playing the cancer comp towards the end, even if we lose. And then we don't even run Ana. Like, we do Zenyatta in that.
That Zenyatta was so good, man. Like, it paid off so hard. I felt like that was what differentiated you guys a little bit more, was you guys were more stable in what you wanted to do. Like, Envy's comp didn't have a lot of synergy, I felt, on Koth. Like, did you guys feel like it did? Because, like, they would nano boost the Winston,
right.
But would you, like, was that scary to you guys? Like, I didn't find it too intimidating. And if Taimu's not hitting like 1 million hooks per Koth map, then they're not getting the kills on you guys. Like, I felt like you could. Actually, I want to go back. Like, I'm off topic. I'm all over the place. How did you guys feel on King's Row when you guys capped?
Lost?
No,
Like when we kept it in overtime?
No, when you capped the 4 minutes when one person snuck on the cart.
Like, I don't know. Like, we were, me and Zoom were running out, and then he then just goes, I'm capping. And I don't know, like, he got it somehow. Because if, like, we don't cap it there, it's probably like a minute two like, before we can cap it, because like they had ults and stuff up. So
yeah, it's the difference between winning and losing a lot of times too. So that's.
And you guys needed that 10 seconds or whatever it might have been, the minute.
Yes.
So
That's what I mean.
That's why it's more incredible. Like,
yeah, because on the King's Row, like then in the overtime when we just had kept the first point, it took us the full 4 minutes to do that. So
yeah, I did definitely notice though. We're all over the place. Going to go back to the
whatever. We're just
I
talking
definitely
about
did notice that you guys
point.
picking Zenyatta there, because if you look at the hero pick rates throughout all of the OW Open finals and playoffs, Zenyatta was at the very bottom of the barrel. But you guys picked him on King of the Hill, and it just seemed to work so well for you. Was that a direct response to the Roadhog in a way, or was that always part of your plan?
Well, this is the comp we've been running for like months and months on COT, and like we played Envy a bit on the boot camp, and like they played this tank comp with Ana, and like we noticed because they played Reunited, and then Reunited played us, and then they were also using this tank comp. So everyone swapped to that because like Envious were beating teams with it.
Mm-hmm.
Like you just gotta, like with the Zenyatta, the thing is, if you just all focus the Discord target, you'll kill him. And the thing is, Soon can kind of solo their Ana, while Tailspin can't solo the Zenyatta. Like Zenyatta is really strong in that 1v1.
Even in that, and I guess to build on what you're saying, like the Soon versus Tailspin matchup was so unfair.
Yeah,
you know, like you have Soon with a Harmony Orb running around, and then you have Tailspin potentially discorded with like no remote heals. Like unless Chips is hitting him with bullets from across the map, which is like super hard, like that Tracer matchup just becomes so high in your favor. And like you were saying, like you just discord the Roadhog and suddenly your Zenyatta's like feeding charge off of him. Like I don't know, it was really good to watch.
Seconds if you just discord him.
Yeah,
and they kind of mix between Monkey Zarya Roadhog and then Reinhardt Zarya Roadhog. It's definitely harder to play versus the Reinhardt, because then like they stack up so much. But when they play the Monkey, they kind of spread out naturally, and our comp is really good when like they spread out, because we are just flanking all over the place.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that was it became the Soon show eventually. That he went insane. That guy went insane.
Especially when Taimu wasn't able to keep him in check, and when he was keeping him in check, I mean they were amazing hooks, right? When like some of those games that Taimu had, but it required that amazing play for every single game to
Taimu's hook accuracy in the first COF map was like it was something out of like a movie. Like that like entire series on Nepal was just a frag video, in my opinion. Like you could just watch that back from Taimu's POV and you would think that it was just a single frag video from Roadhog or something. Yeah, and I think that was insane.
And every one of those kills were huge kills, because Soon was just again like on off on like we saw on like the second King of the Hills and even some of the other maps. So that was definitely in your favor for sure, at least percentage wise, that it was going to work in your favor, and obviously it did. Okay, so why don't we transition a little bit? Why don't we talk about the viewership? So there was some people were talking about afterwards, and given this is like the biggest Overwatch tournament, 300K tournament, we were expecting, or at least some people were expecting, just enormous numbers. So the numbers did. I don't know if they officially came out or not, but I think the folks that were watching online could tell it was in the 40K range, somewhere in the 40s. And then, of course, on TV, the ratings were, I think officially, what is it? It's like 0.3, something pretty small. So it's not, it looked like... I
think it said 280K
280K, like yeah, 280K, 0.13, I think was the actual rating itself, which means nothing to me, actually. But 280K we're watching, which was more than some of the CSGO broadcasts in the past. Not necessarily the finals, but some of the other group stages and things like that. So something there. But overall, what did you guys think? Were you guys disappointed with the viewership? It's kind of what you expected?
You could kind of expect that the finals wasn't going to have as good viewership as it potentially could on Twitch, because on Twitch, viewership builds over time. The tournaments that do really well, you'll see during top 8, during the playoffs, during Championship Sunday, they have a couple of matches. They have 4, 5, 6 matches. and it builds and builds and builds and builds. And as soon as the grand finals comes on, it starts peaking, especially if the matches are really good and the sets go really long. If you have best of fives that go into the last match, that's how you get good viewership on Twitch. So I could already tell you ahead of time that a Friday evening, first of all, terrible for Europe. Europe can't really watch.
Yep.
Second of all, it was only one best of five, and over the what was it? Maybe 2.5 hours at most. So that's just not what typically explodes on Twitch. You need to have that huge long ramp up. But you did mention that the TV ratings were slightly better than CSGO. CSGO's average for E-League, which is cool. Glad to see that, and glad that those viewers were able to tune in. But I have no idea. Like, TV numbers make no sense to me. It's hard to even compare. You're not even comparing apples to apples. It's like two completely different ways of measuring viewership. So I can't really comment onto that too much. But the fact that probably at least 250,000 people tuned in is pretty awesome. But yeah, I could see that Twitch was not going to have crazy viewership from a while.
So expected it, I guess, on your end then.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, of course, I'd like to see more. I was optimistic, but not unexpected, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
Do you think that the meta had any impact on that?
I actually don't think
from a
it had anything to do with it. At least I don't. I don't know. Zeb, what do you think? It's hard for him to tell. I guess he didn't actually see it.
He wouldn't know. He was playing.
I haven't watched any of the games.
I thought it was weird though for them to go back to the European, like to get off European time after like the whole tournament had been played early in the day and then the finals were at night. I don't know if it was a mistake, but it definitely hurt the numbers. But that's Turner, right? Like that's their scheduled slot, so there wasn't really much to say there.
I think if they didn't like split up the regions, that would add viewership as well.
Definitely,
those games are so much more exciting. Like we never played the Energy ever. Like seeing that game is more interesting than seeing us play Rogue for the 10th time. Like even though that game was great, but
that's true.
It's true. I mean, that's what we saw at Gamescom, right? I mean, we saw like the first round of Gamescom being like matchups between NA and EU. So yeah, that was really exciting.
Yep.
Overall, I think just 40K. I mean, I think it had a lot to do with the time slot for sure. But like you were saying,
wasn't Worlds on too?
Yeah, Worlds was on.
Worlds
like I was just about to say, Worlds
there was a
on.
lot of things on at the same time.
Yeah,
Worlds
ESL
and ESL1 NYC.
Yeah.
And like the Mars Dota League was going on too, so there was like a CS stream to compete with, a huge league, and then like a huge Dota stream at the same time. So yeah,
there was a lot of traffic on Twitch for sure this weekend. So we'll see how the next one does. I don't know what we're gonna see because I don't think these Korean leagues will actually be a good measurement of it, at least from the standpoint of Twitch. So it might not be until TwitchCon, I guess, until we actually get some kind of major Overwatch broadcast.
BlizzCon.
Yeah. Oh, is it? Yeah. Oh, I said TwitchCon. BlizzCon. Sorry, still TwitchCon on the mind.
I think BlizzCon's gonna do fantastically. I mean, if you watched some of the qualifiers for the World Championship that's happening at BlizzCon, there were local I don't even remember what languages it was anymore, but some of the local streams for countries that aren't even like top 10 countries on Twitch were getting like 6-7K viewers on for a qualifier for the World Cup. So that's going to be sick. I think we're going to have incredible international viewership. And as long as we have a lot of global international streams, and I think it's going to be super, super hype. I can't wait.
People love it too, like that whole international contention thing. Like people watch the Olympics, even people who aren't interested in the Olympics, they just want to see how their country does. Everyone, it's just a good event. Even World Cup, like there's a lot of people who don't even like soccer, but if USA is playing in World Cup, like they'll watch World Cup. So I think that's what makes. I think BlizzCon's numbers will be a lot lot just from that standpoint. I mean, from a competition,
BlizzCon, man. It's
like,
the big show.
I wouldn't be surprised 100K. It's
BlizzCon.
So
yeah, for sure. No,
you know what would be funny? It would be a hilarious storyline. Is if let's just like this Chinese from around. Let's just say Rogue just crushes everybody, right? And then we go to BlizzCon and you have that full Chinese team, right, representing China, and then you have obviously everybody else just like a hodgepodge of stuff. And let's just say the Chinese team does well or wins the whole thing, and then everybody's gonna think the Chinese team, the Chinese Overwatch is like better than everybody. That'd be kind of funny.
It's IG Fire, right? IG Fire.
Yeah, it's IG Fire,
and they're playing in that tournament, the APAC with Rogue and NRG. So
yeah,
at least we'll be able to see them before, the teams don't know what's going on going into it. But
I guess
If
so.
I'm Blizzard, maybe I throw in a patch right before BlizzCon, just shake it up, like get IG out of their comfort zone.
What?
That'd be sick.
I want to see it. I don't know. I don't mind seeing it just because I think that you know, at least the four of us, I would assume we want at least the product to be like on stage, something that's going to be highly competitive, or at least going to be high skilled games and not more funsy games. So that's what I'm pretty confident that's going to happen at least in the last couple rounds of the tournament. And you know, I hope IG actually plays well. I hope it's like Sweden IG or whoever. We just one of the top teams against IG, and it's a high quality.
There's a lot of good teams.
Overwatch.
There's a lot of really good teams in this World Cup.
Yeah.
Actually, I mean, Zebbosai, you're going to be playing for Team Sweden.
Yep.
Do you have any? I don't know if we can talk about this or if you want to talk about this, but have you guys been scrimming? Like, have you guys been stratting? Are you preparing for it?
No, not what.
I mean, obviously,
Whatever.
you just finished the 300K.
Whatever. Nothing.
He's
But
nah.
like, we're not really gonna do it because like Twig is in Korea,
Yeah.
and then like so is Chips, Coco. There's no way we can scrim. But I don't know. I think a lot of the games are gonna be very one-sided, and I don't think the competition is gonna be very serious. Like we obviously want to win with Sweden, but say like we're winning in a game, we'll pull out like weird shit. Like we even did that in the qualifier. We did 6 tanks pushing on the Mbani. Like I don't know. I think it's gonna be a lot of that.
Okay.
Well, hopefully not too much. You have some tough competition. I think Germany, Finland, looking really strong.
Who's your
China.
IGL, right? Because that's what it's going to come down to, I think. I think this entire tournament is going to come down to which country has the best in-game leader. Is it you? I mean, if it's you,
I
then
don't know,
you guys
like,
will be fine, right? Like, you guys
It's going to
usually
usually
be
be
Sweden.
Lucio, right?
Like I play Flex, and I don't know. Like it's kind of odd because we're all in different teams. We don't want to go in too deep. What
True.
like we
Yeah,
play
exactly.
and
Right.
how we do stuff.
I know how Zebo plays. He's going to call for his Lucio speed boost right now. I've seen it on my World Cup team.
Yeah, I don't know. Like I'm not really calling for that team since I'm on. I'm playing mostly Zarya, but and like we just going over strats. Like people don't really want to go into deep when
Yeah, of
we're
course, of
qualifiers
course.
because like we have Envious, Rogue, Fnatic, LG. Like we're so split. So.
Yeah. It's fun actually seeing some of the players playing alternate roles too. Like seeing some support players have to play DPS for their teams and things like that.
Didn't Taimu play Lucio or something for his team?
Oh, I didn't see
forget
that.
what
Really?
happened.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it's
he was
just
playing
weird.
Lucio Mercy.
I'm not sure that's a good utilization of
But
time
the,
there.
like the Finnish team, like they have like 6 DPS players. Like they have.
Oh,
to.
that's all
like,
they have?
Lynx
Oh,
played
I see.
Reinhardt for them.
Yeah.
Oh god, yeah. All right, so that should be a lot of fun. Let's see. Oh, okay. Let's go into just I guess some of the production, just kind of finishing out like Overwatch Open. The production again. I was saying last episode that I think Overwatch Open by far the best tournament where it had all these additive graphics. Added the additive videos that showed like what the roles were. Just more accessibility to some folks maybe watching Overwatch for the first time. And I think honestly, I think that was probably one of the biggest things that made this tournament, I think, a step above everything. The studio's great. It looks awesome and all these cool screens and camera shots of you guys and everything. But I felt like all that stuff in between was what really made it look super professional.
I totally agree. As simple as it is, just having a slate that was like, oh yeah, Soon played these characters,
exactly.
these heroes over the lot in this best of 5. He played like these 6 characters or whatever. Like as simple and as basic as that is, and maybe it's pretty easy for someone who watches a lot to remember these things. I thought it added just a layer of professionalism and like just good level of data and info to the average viewer that they would never really have had otherwise. So
I just like the prep work too. Like that what was it, the Cool Matt how to play Roadhog video and like the Taimu
Yep.
I forget what he was. I think it might have been McCree, but stuff like that was really fun, or like just good to watch, I guess.
Yeah,
like
definitely.
it made it more. It just looked like a lot more. You could just tell how well prepared and how much time went into it, and I think that was good. I also like. I want to talk about how good it is that happened early. Like I want to like Overwatch is what, like a year old. I want to say closed beta started close to a year from like this month. I think it was October, right? It's like end of October, so it's been like a year.
Mm-hmm.
And for this tournament to be happening now, ups the bar for everyone else. Like OGN and Apex are going to have a lot to compete with. Even BlizzCon's gonna have a lot to compete with. Like it has to be, everything has to be better now than E-League. I think that's what's really nice, just from a timing standpoint.
Man, it's gonna be hard to be better than E-League, but at least on the same level of E-League.
Yeah, I just mean like it sets a
it's
really big bar for tournaments coming up in the future, and I think that's what's really nice too.
Yeah, even spectating, I think spectating was the best that we've seen so far too. And I know they had multicam set up with the director or producer, whatnot. But we probably still need some more, and I know they're coming out with more tools and everything, and that's going to help with it. But yeah, I mean, definitely something to point out that it was better. Still a few times where it's just on Genji and it's just like, oh man, it's a little too much for me. But like at least for my eyes or whatnot. But I think everybody's starting to get used to finding, especially the Reaper Ana thing. I think they were very good on timing that a lot of times. Before it was actually happening. So like Reaper's sitting there hiding, and then he actually engages before the Ana ult hits. So you actually just saw the entire sequence. So that they were catching that a lot better as we were getting through the tournament. So kudos to them for that, for sure. Casting and analysis, just the whole desk. There was a little bit of drama there, but just in general, like, what do you think about the whole thing there?
I was impressed with Anders and Semler, to be honest with you, at the beginning of the tournament. I came in not really knowing what to expect with those two, because I don't really watch CS:GO religiously, but I do watch CS:GO every now and then. And the two of them have really good banter, and they play off each other very well. And Semler actually messaged me and was like, "Oh, thank you so much for doing VODs and stuff. It's helping me learn the game." So I wasn't really sure what to expect, but the two of them I thought did really well, and I was a little sad to see Semler leave, or I think he had a family emergency or whatever. But the two of them, in my eyes, were, I think, what proves how good. I guess I didn't have an appreciation before this tournament of just the concept of casting as a profession, being able to translate between games. I always just thought oh, this guy's a CS caster, he wouldn't be good in Overwatch or something. But then they came in and they did their practice, and the two of them just made it seem really professional, and they didn't try to say things that they weren't sure about. They knew their roles, and they did very well. And I was super impressed by that entire concept of just I'm a caster, I will learn this game, I can transition to this game and make it seem natural, and that was cool to me.
Yeah, frankly, the hardcore fans are always going to nitpick the hell out of every single caster, and that's just how it's going to go, and that's fine. I mean, that's hardcore fans should push the casters to do as best as they can. But what's the primary role of a caster? It's to bring in new viewers. Really, truthfully, have an entertaining broadcast and carry the show so that it's entertaining to any kind of viewer tuning in. That is absolutely more important than having the most crazy in-depth analysis ever. I mean, that's what the analysis desk should be for in theory. So I thought that they actually, almost everyone did a really, really good job. I think one of my sleeper picks is Mr. X. I think he played his role of the color commentator with ZP quite well. He wasn't giving the most crazy in-depth insight, but it just had a really good sound to it, really good flow. So I thought Mr. X did pretty well. Obviously, Rachel's such a pro. She's been doing this for so long. She's so experienced. So she carried the desk quite well. I thought Malik, he was able to ask the right questions for sure. And carry the interview as well. So honestly, all the talent I think did a pretty good job.
I forgot about him actually. He was insane, Malik. He just made it seem so real. I don't know. I've seen some interviews before from players, and they'll ask questions, but sometimes they're awkward. But he he has an energy to him that I think is super impressive to me, at least. He just makes it seem like he knows. He knew exactly what he was talking about. He knew what the players expected to be asked. His questions were prepared. He knew what to expect as an answer, and everything was just I don't know, on that stage I thought was perfect for him.
Yeah, he won me over in the. I mean, I'll be honest. When I first saw Malik's interviews, I thought they were, I thought it was a guy who really doesn't know Overwatch, but we're asking these questions and wouldn't know how they were going to respond. But as I watched more and more of Malik, I actually started to see that he actually does know Overwatch, and
I've seen him on ladder. I've seen him in Masters.
I think I have too.
Ladder.
Now that you mentioned, yeah. So that plus his personality, I know what you mean. Malik had his own element. It was a completely different type of personality. It was it was much more fun personality. So that's why we had the failed fish handshake and all this stuff. I mean, a lot of these things did happen because of just the type of persona.
You want to shake his hand, forget whether or not you can, exactly. You just want to. So
exactly, right. So he kept the he definitely kept he added some of the comedy aspect to, I guess, to the whole broadcast, which I know E-League and whatnot, they like that sort of thing. Overall, I thought Rach was awesome. You say that, Ben, Rach does all these things or whatnot, but I just felt in this particular, her role, at least this last week when I was watching her, I felt she was crazy pro. And I mean, if you don't hire Rachel for any Overwatch hosting stuff, you're you're freaking crazy, okay? Because like you're not gonna get better than Rach. And she plays this game like crazy.
The thing about
too,
Rachel,
so.
I'm really close friends with
Yeah,
her and known her for many years, but
exactly.
she performs under pressure. The more pressure that's on her, the more she performs. I've seen it so many times. So being on TV, obviously, pretty good amount of pressure.
Yeah, absolutely. And then the casters, I felt like the casters, and kind of follow up on what you were saying, Flame. I think you saw the difference between like pro casters, guys that are experienced, have done it a while, worked for these large organizations, and they have that refinement, that kind of throwing to each other, kind of playing off of each other and that sort of thing. And yeah, with Golden Boy, Mr. X, Anders, and Semmler, they don't know their games, or they don't know Overwatch like they know, the other games that they've casted, because they just haven't done it enough, and got enough time to really study it. But you could still see that refinement, that we've been missing. And I think that it was definitely good to see that. And then, mix that with ZP, for instance, who, we has been casting for a long time. You can kind of see how it's starting to meld and what the future lies. And I think it's going to be awesome, like once we get there. So yeah, overall, I think they did great. I think, just the analyst does too. Obviously a little bit of drama, but that was like, I think blown out of proportion, like by crazy standards.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
Oh my God.
It was ridiculous, actually.
God damn it, Reddit. What are you doing? Stop it.
Exactly. But the Failfish making it on Fallon, that was that's only E-League, guys. Like, that would never have happened at any other tournament, in my opinion. It was because it was on Turner and E-League that we kind of get some mainstream like that. Yeah. So, anyways, good stuff. Why don't we? Let me take one question maybe from the chat, just so we can have like one, and then we can wrap up after this, guys, because kind of going over. So if you have any questions, go ahead and type it out on Twitch chat, and then we'll read out one that looks interesting. Any of you guys see one, just go ahead and go read it out. Let's see if anybody has one.
Waiting for the delay to catch up.
Yeah, I'm just gonna ask Zebbosai a quick question.
All right, yeah, go for it.
What's next for you guys? Do you have the next tournament in mind? It does seem like there's kind of a lull right now in tournaments.
Yeah, since we didn't get invited to the Chinese and Korean one, I guess like we have a qualifier for DreamHack and MSI this weekend. So DreamHack is in November, and then the MSI event is in December.
Okay.
So like,
yeah,
we still
nothing
have
coming up really soon.
Like not this month, or we're 3 of us are flying to BlizzCon at the end of the month, and then we have DreamHack and MSI. So there's still like an event each month for the rest of the year. So it's enough.
Need a break, right? I would need a break. I think. It takes some time.
Eventually, it's going to be, there's no off season in esports, guys,
No.
and these other sports. So maybe enjoy the break while you have it before the craziness that's about to start. Good stuff though. Let's see, anything else here?
The people want to know when you're streaming next time, Zebbosai.
Yeah, I don't know. I still work a full-time job, so I don't really have time to stream.
Damn, dude, setting standards everywhere. Keep your full-time job, win E-League, play Lucio, just command the best team in the game, arguably, right now.
I don't know, I have quit my job, but like in Sweden, after you quit, you have to work for another 3 months. I'm not out until like December.
Oh my God.
That's crazy,
it's
man.
stupid. Like,
What
I
does that
don't do
mean?
anything at work. I watch VODs. That's
Like,
what I do.
They need 3 months to find a replacement? Is that what
Yeah,
that is?
pretty
That's
much.
really weird.
Let's see. Do you guys? Okay, so here's one for Zeromus. Do you guys think that with the buff to Ana's grenade, that Zenyatta will fall further out of favor as the flex pick instead of Ana, especially with the prevalence of Ana Reaper running around and work in the Overwatch Open? Yeah. So you think that the buff will make Zenyatta even more less run?
Oh yeah, for sure.
Yeah, I mean, it's also map dependent too. Like on payload maps, you will see more Ana all the time, just because of the prevalence of fights and how easy it is, or how hard it. Like, fights have to keep happening on payload, I would say.
Yeah.
So to have that constant nano boost, like back to back to back to back, regardless of the nuke size, like, it's still really good. I think that Ana falls short on Koth depending on your composition, which is why we saw Misfits like come out on top pretty handily on Li Jiang. With their Zenyatta versus the Ana, which I think people were like, "Oh my God, they're running Zenyatta! Like, what patch is this?" But I think that I think that it makes, until that there's something done about the rate at which the nano boost comes out, and even just the strength of the combinations that you can run with it. Like, you nano boost a Reaper, you get a couple kills. You nano boost a Reinhardt, like suddenly there's a raid boss everyone has to deal with. Like, I think that until those combos become a little bit less scary, then you won't really see Zenyatta. And again, like you're right, you pop Transcendence, and if you don't have a Reinhardt shield to block the nuke, then suddenly your Transcendence is just like it's
Worthless.
nothing.
It's literally
It's
nothing.
actually just nothing.
Yeah.
You're just down
My
a hero
favorite-
that can't Discord.
Like as it is now with the bomb, you can't really hit everyone. Like so, you can Zenyatta ult, then you maybe like get 1 or 2 with the debuff. But when they buff it, you're gonna hit everyone constantly.
That's
And
crazy.
like 1 or 2 is
No
still
way.
good. Like 1 or 2
Yeah,
is
yeah.
The key, I
You know what I
know,
mean?
right? The key guys. Oh man.
Yeah, I mean, she's definitely gonna. I mean, first thing. This is only a PTR patch. It's not necessarily going live as it is described. I do think though that even with the nuke buff coming, potentially coming, I think the number one thing that needs to be addressed is her ult. The rate that it builds is so fast. The combinations with Reaper are too strong. So I think until that's addressed, I think it's going to be tough for Zenyatta. But I also want to remind everyone that this particular combination, if you're just tuning into the show now, Zebbosai talked about this a little while ago, but the prevalence of this Reaper Ana thing is 2 weeks old. It was defined and like became the prevalent meta like 2 weeks ago. So it's very new. I think people will find ways to counter it. The meta will shift inevitably. It always does. It always will. There will be patches. Their teams will figure things out. And I think my take-home message there is, I know I'm kind of ignoring your actual question. I apologize, but the meta shifts wildly, like on a week-to-week basis. So I think that's just going to keep happening.
Yeah, it wasn't even that long that we didn't have Ana at all. So I mean, I think we're just getting into the, just Ana being prevalent in the meta and how people are adjusting and whatnot.
But I guess to build on that point, it's like hard to know, right? Like Zebo is probably feeling the opposite. Right? Like you've seen Ana, like you guys have been scrimming it for what months, like a month or two. Like they've been running that for a while. It's just you don't see it until the tournaments come out.
Actually, like with Ana, like we didn't run Ana.
You didn't. Yeah, you didn't.
Like a week prior to the event, we picked it up. It was only like in Europe,
Crazy.
NIP ran it a lot, and then during like the qualifiers and all, people noticed that, and then people started practicing with it.
Mm-hmm.
But like I know I watched some VODs like with NRG playing like triple support with Ana versus like MV or something, and it just didn't work at all. Like I don't know, everyone thought Ana was like too weak. It's just you dive her and she dies, and with a Zenyatta ult you save your whole team. Same with the Lucio, it's not worth swapping. But now, everyone has changed their opinion now, obviously.
True.
It's amazing
Really
how
fast,
meta works that way. Yeah, and I'm sure all the designers are smiling. Jeff's probably smiling, and Zan and all them. Okay, well, I think that's going to be it for the questions and probably for the show. So Zeb, it was awesome having you on the show, man. It's kind of last minute. I was hoping to get you on, but I had to make sure you get on live first because we decided last minute to add another onto the show. So thanks for coming on, man. Any shout outs you want to do, or do you?
Yeah, shout out to Misfits for supporting us, and if you want to follow me on Twitter, it's just Zebbosai.
That's definitely always good. Here, I'll type in the Twitter in the chat here, in case they missed it. Flame, any shout outs, or where can they find you?
You can find me on Twitch. On YouTube right now. I put up VOD analyses. I've gotten some good feedback from people. So if you want to learn some competitive Overwatch, check out my YouTube channel. I think it's Flame617. But yeah, shout out to everyone I guess on stream that came here from my Discord or just from me in general. My stream's grown so much in the past week. It's like overwhelming me. Like
awesome.
Because I feel like I'm not the most positive person in the world all the time, but like I'm getting so much positivity thrown at me that it's like changing my mentality.
You're
a little
much
bit.
more positive on this show, man. That's why.
I'm
I
positive
like
in general when I'm not behind closed Discord doors, but
right, exactly.
So yeah, like I don't know how else to thank everybody that supported me the past couple weeks, but it's been overwhelming, and I guess shout out to everyone who's been there.
Yeah, it's great, man. Awesome. Fishstix?
Yeah, thanks everyone for tuning in, and thanks Chris, of course, for putting on the show. Huge congrats to Zebbosai and Misfits in general. It's been awesome to see you guys rising like this. I'm not gonna lie, I didn't think this was gonna. I didn't, especially after Gamescom. Like, I would have been a naysayer, but you guys turned a lot of heads and definitely deserve the win in the biggest Overwatch tournament yet in terms of prize pool. So big congrats to you guys. You can follow me on Twitter. I'll tweet about Overwatch stuff as well as Twitch stuff. That's it.
Yeah. Thanks to three of you guys for doing the show today. And again, yeah, Zeb, obviously congrats for the win. And I will say that I believe Jason and Mitch have always believed in this, you guys. So those two have, I think, have always picked you as like the top EU team. I believe even at Gamescom. So I know they probably believed that you would pull it out. So anyways, big congrats to that and all the success that you had recently. And Ben, great to have you back. Flames, always a pleasure. Love to have you even more on the show if you're available. And everybody that watched, thanks for watching that. You can catch the VODs at youtube.com/ChanManV soon after. Sorry about all the tech issues. Like the broadcaster had some issues early on, so I'll probably have to edit the VODs and the audios a bit just to make it like less staticky for you guys whenever you do listen to it. If you're on iTunes, it'll be out tomorrow. And thanks to all the folks that have left really nice reviews and 5-star reviews. That really helps out folks finding the podcast on iTunes. And that's going to be it, guys, for this week. So for Zebbosai, Flame, Fishstix, and myself, ChanManV, we'll see you next time. Later.
Thanks for having me.